Hi, I'm Steve from Whiskey and Red. Let's build some cool. First thing we want to do is have some posts set up already for ourselves. Otherwise, it makes it way more difficult to build a template. So start with some posts. I have 3 dummy posts here. I recommend starting with at least 3 so you can get those related posts and post feeds set up a little bit more easily. What I'm going to be working with here is post titles. This is considered all the post content. This area here that's highlighted is post content. It will be pulled by the post content widget. And within the post column over here, our featured image, and I have an excerpt so that we can design around that. I do have a category set as well, so we can use the dynamic tags to set that up as well. Now, once you set this up, if you're using a hello theme like I am, it's going to look awfully boring and awfully terrible. So that's what we're going to do is we're going to build a template and make sure that all of these dots are connected. So we'll move over to our templates, go to the template area, add a new template, select single post from the dropdown, name it something really creative like blog post. Then we're going to skip the templates and we'll open up this box here and start a new section. We'll just do some starter padding here. Few percent. And I like blog posts that are a little bit less wide on the page. So I'm going to make this 1,000 pixels instead of my normal 1,200 width. And we want to publish this. The biggest thing here is adding a condition and making sure it gets routed to the right place. So from the dropdown, we're going to select posts because we want this to apply to our entire blog. So all our blog posts. Leave this as all and save. So we have an empty row, nothing going on there. So when we reload this blog post, it should have nothing on the page. Excellent. Now let's start working with some dynamic tags. Go over to the widgets here. Now we have some things here that Elementor awesomely provides. We're going to skip using these just so we get familiar with using our dynamic tags. So what I'll do is just bring over a heading. And I'm just going to start with things in the center. How about we make this our H1 for our post title? And we'll use a dynamic tag here. So it's this funny looking little icon with a bunch of layers on it. And we'll make this post title. Perfect. We have our post title being brought in. Next thing I want to do is add maybe a category. So we'll go ahead and duplicate this. Remove this dynamic tag and set a new one. So how about post terms? That's where our categories are located. We just need to click this again. I'll change tags to categories. And we have a category. Maybe make this an H2 for now. We'll come back and do some design once we're all set up here. Next thing I want to do is maybe add an author. So I'll remove that tag and add a new one. And this is down under author, author name. That's me. Next thing, maybe a date. Add post date from the dynamic tags. And now we have a date. Lovely. Next thing we'll do here is add our featured image. Like I said, they have a featured image block here, but you can also take an image and with a dynamic tag, select featured image. Perfect. I like to set my image resolution at full, personal preference. Next thing we want to bring over is our post content. So this one, we will actually use the one they provide, our post content widget here. So the post content widget refers to, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, all of the content below the title in this WordPress builder. All of the content that is contained here is considered post content. The same thing would apply to anything I build over on the Elementor side. So if I were to build this page in Elementor, then everything that is built within Elementor in that post is considered post content. So we have all our post content here, and next we'll add in our related posts. So grab a heading, that in the center, and we'll just type in here related posts. Get these related posts to work. We want to grab the posts widget, and we'll want to go down to query and change source to related. Excellent. Go ahead and update here. We'll look back at our post here, and everything is feeding properly to the correct locations. It's ugly, so we'll work on that, but it's all working. So the next functional piece that we want to set up is our blog page. We'll come back and we'll touch on the design of the different elements in the template, but let's go ahead and set up our blog feed on our blog page. The first thing I want to point out, and I'm looking at pages here, is I'll go down to settings and reading. I like to make sure this post page is not set to anything so that I'm able to set this myself. So same thing, your home page displays a static page, set it to the home page, post page to nothing. Now going back to the pages here, I do have a page that is very primitive setup in Elementor for a blog. Should be empty. There we go. An empty page to start with. So we'll do the same thing we did on our template setup. We'll just add in a row, add in some starter padding, maybe a few percent. And we'll go right into grabbing our post feed. We'll use the post element. And we have our blog post. Maybe we'll give it a title. So I'll grab a heading widget here. Set it as an H1, call it my blog. And maybe put it in the middle. So taking a look at this post widget. Right now we're set to 3 across, so 3 columns, and 6 posts per page. So most likely you'll want to display more posts. And this has a lot to do with the way that you want your blog set up. Some people like pagination, some people don't. Some people like the infinite scrolls. So it just depends upon how you like this setup. I'll usually set these up to be pretty long pages. So I'll add just a ton on there. Now the pagination info is located down here at the bottom. We can also use our query tab to include only specific categories if we want to feed this on our home page or a service page and only filter by specific categories. The pagination is set up down here. Lots of different options to choose from, including infinite scroll and these load on click. So we'll go ahead and update our page. And we'll preview it. And nice and boring, but it works. It's a functional blog feed that's located on a blog page for our website. The functional setup is now complete, so we'll go ahead and go back through and take a look at some of the design elements. First, we'll update our blog post template. We have a post title, we have our H1. How about we put our category maybe above it? And let's make that a div so our H1 stays on top. That looks fun. And our author and date. How about we go ahead and split these up? Yeah, I like to remove my padding from those inner containers until I see what I'm working with. Let's put these in an inner container here. And now we can play with our inner container. Let's set them up like that, and then maybe add space between. Perfect. Now let's make sure that we style these appropriately. I think I might have something here already. A global font, just to make it look a little different. Let's do the same thing over here. There we go. It's looking halfway decent so far. Let's add maybe a little bit of space underneath our title. Let's add a little space under this container as well. That looks pretty decent. Add a little space down below the image. Give us some separation. And we'll come back to our post content stuff here. We'll need some CSS to add in here to make this look a little nicer. Down on our related posts, let's go ahead and set this to 2 posts per page. I like to set these at full resolution so they look nice. And we'll go ahead and maybe remove some meta stuff. Clean this up a little bit. Have some fun with fonts. Space. And we'll set the typography on our excerpt. That looks pretty decent. Fix that spacing below. And set our button. All right, all in all, not too bad. I'm gonna come back here, add a little more space on top and bottom. Maybe open up this font a little bit. And then what we can do is take these styles. And if I right click on my posts, I can click copy and I can jump over to my blog page. So remember our blog feed on our blog page, we can right click and paste style. And we'll make a couple of adjustments back to what we wanted, but at least our other styles came in. So we could just switch this over to full resolution, set this back to 3 columns, and we'll get rid of our meta. Much better there. All right, not too shabby. Now let's do a quick pass on mobile before we come back to this post content area. Switch on responsive mode. Take a look here. We'll just adjust some of this spacing a bit. Start with the outside here, button up on the footer. Do like a little bit more on the sides on tablet, and probably at least 10 on the bottom. Okay, it looks good. Want to remove the margin from the bottom of the title. This still looks good in this area. And we'll go to mobile. We definitely want to fix these. So what we can do is change our container to be vertical, and we're centered there. Take a look at the rest. A little bit more on the outside of the whole section. Good. 7 on the right and left. 10 on top. And probably at least 15 or so on the bottom. Looks good. Now let's take a look at the text in here. Within our post content, a lot of these rules are being pulled from our global styles, our global headings, all of those things that we have set up within our Elementor settings. So if we want them to be different within our blog posts, what I like to do is add in some CSS into our post content widget so that it only applies within here, and I can control things like a little bit of extra margin on top of my headings, taking different elements from the WordPress side. So if we use a separator, we put an image in, that we go ahead and we create a consistent template to how those things are applied, because this looks terrible. So let's fix these things. We are going to add our CSS directly into that post content box by going to the Advanced tab, scrolling down to the bottom, and opening up the Custom CSS box. Now I've included a link down below to this CSS code where I have some text styles and some other styles that we can use for our purposes here. Starting out, We'll start with some of our text styles here. I have some styles for adding some font weight to the links that are contained within your blog post. You can style this any way you want. Some people like underlines, just bold, different colors. But this is a good opportunity to make sure that all of the links that we use in our blog posts get extra attention drawn to them. The second section here is all of these headings, just giving a little bit of extra padding to our headings so they don't butt up against our paragraphs in the way that they are now. Same thing with fixing that separator line, adding some color to it, and fixing some of the margin that's on top and the bottom. So I'll go ahead and pull all of this directly from here, and I'll paste it right in here. And you can see already everything kind of opened up a little bit. Our line got fixed. Now, our preview window here does not give us an exact representation sometimes when we're dealing with this post content box. So I'll update this and we'll take a look at the actual post here. And we'll scroll down. So the padding here all look good. Our color did come in and we have our nice conclusion section here. Perfect. So what I want to do now is add in some more elements and take a look at some of the other code that's included in that GitHub link. So we'll jump over to our post and let's add in some different things. So what I'd like to do is create some space here. I'll add in maybe an image. Most blog posts have images. So we'll go to our media library and we'll just grab an extra image. A few things to point out on the WordPress end here. The number one thing is our resolution. I go right to full size because then when I come over to here and set my alignment and I set it to center, I know that it is going to fit within my container as long as it's the right amount of pixels wide. The reason I point this out is that this alignment stuff can get really wonky. The wide width, full width does not, it breaks the container, so it doesn't stay within the container. So I set my images in this way. So let's go ahead and just take a look at that and see what that did for us. So now we have an image, but we don't have any space on top and bottom. So this is what I mean by coming back in with this CSS. So let's jump back over and take a look at our code here. Down at the bottom here, we have some image stuff. So image, and all it is padding on top and padding on the bottom. Add that in. And I haven't reloaded this yet, but it never looks right anyway. So we'll just be working off this preview tab. Awesome. Looks much better. Next thing we want to do is add in some lists. I bring this up because these things just get so weird, and I want to make sure that there's space at the bottom, but not space on our interior ordered list or unordered list. So again, let me kind of create some space here. And I'll make myself a list. So how about, there we go. And we'll do a nice little sub list there. All right. So as you can see, Elementor does not put padding or a margin at the bottom of the list. So that's what we're going to work out here with this other code. So jumping back over to our code here, I'll scroll up to this section where there's just a whole bunch of GWARP here. But what this does is it adds to our ordered list, so the ones with numbers, or our unordered list, the ones with bullets, 15 pixels on the bottom, so it represents the same spacing that the paragraphs have. Then we want to make sure that the lists within the lists don't have extra spacing. So I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So if I just take the top half here, and I put this in here. Awesome. So we have the space here that we wanted, but we don't want this extra space here. So that's what that extra code is for, is to get rid of those lists within a list padding. So we'll paste this down at the bottom here too. Take a look at our page. There we go. Now we have nice lists that work out super well. Next thing we want to add is a block quote. So we can come back in here. Let's just duplicate this a couple times. Get rid of my link. And we'll turn this into a block quote. So as you can see, it just indents a paragraph. It looks exactly like the rest of the text. So we want to add a little bit of flair there. So that's that next piece of code here is our block quote. Paste that in place and we'll reload. Cool. So we just added a nice border here, matching our colors. Italicize the text, bolded the text. You can do anything you want with these block quotes. Make them big, make them fun, make them colorful. Draw attention to them like they're supposed to. The next item that gets asked about a lot is adding galleries within our WordPress site. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. We'll go ahead and just add this. Again, we'll just create some more space up here. And we'll add an image in between. I'm sorry, a gallery in between. Go to our media library. We'll just select a few images. So when we first load this in, it will load in on the actual image. So it's giving me the options for this image. If I want to look at the image gallery itself, if I want to add images or deal with my alignment, I can do that here. So a few things to add would be probably link to the media file so you get a light box when they open. Set our full size resolution and do the same thing that we set with our regular images and align it to the center. Go ahead and save our page. And we have a little bit of extra spacing here. So this is coming from what we did with our image, adding some space. Sorry, this image down here, adding space on the top and bottom. So what we want to do is remove this through this code. Image gallery or gallery. This will make sure that if the images load into the gallery, that they don't have that extra padding that we gave our single images. There are a lot of different items here within the WordPress side, all kinds of different, whatever they call them, blocks, our block editor. So tons of different blocks to choose from, lots of different formatting to go through, but that's how you do it. Thanks for watching and have a good day. If you found this useful, feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or ideas for other videos, let me know in the comments below.